Welcome everybody back to a round table of the last 3 months. We're a little bit late just for scheduling and all that kind of stuff. So we are going to be looking at all the new releases from April, May, and March. I think that's it because it's January, February, March, April, May, and June. April, May, and June. There we go. I got it. I can count months. So April, May, and June, the second quarter of the year. And I've got these wonderful, beautiful people. We're going to start over on this side, and then we're going to go in a clockwise direction over on that side. So I'm sure our panelists have seen a different view than I have. So we're going to start over here, and that is Brent is over on this side.
Perfect. Well, hey, how's everybody doing? It's
Pretty
good,
been a
Brent.
while,
Pretty good.
hasn't it? Oh, it's good to be back. Anyways, well, let's start.
Oh, wait. Before you start, we're going to introduce everybody.
Okay.
Then we're going to get into it. Then we'll start with you. So we've got Brent. You can find him. Oh, where can they find you, Brent?
They can find me at the Similitude of Prague, where I do reviews and a lot of things related to Prague, just as the rest of these gentlemen do.
Amazing. Then we have Matt over here in the corner.
I love Brent's just like skip the YouTube formalities. Let's just
Let's
get
go.
into it.
You've got time for that.
I'm Matt. Matt O'Leary Music is my channel. I kind of exist on the fringes of progressive rock with a capital P. So I'm bringing lots of other genres to the table, and I just can't pick a lane ever. So, hurts the brand, but I'm sold forever to eclecticism, I guess.
Love that. Amazing. Great. We'll go right below me with Nathan.
All right, yes, I'm Nathan. I have a channel called Nathan on Shuffle. All kinds of prog-related content like everyone else. I do reaction videos with my wife, introducing her to prog, do weekly news updates about what's happening in the world of prog, and all kinds of reviews and such. So it's a fun thing to do.
Great. I love it. We'll go over, this side right here over to Travis.
Hi, I'm Travis. I have a written blog called Long Words on Song Words, which is named after the YouTube channel that I had run for a little while. I'm not very active on there anymore, but I think I've got a few ideas brewing for some content in the coming days. I'm also a musician myself. I play guitar and bass with my own instrumental progressive project, Borealia, and you can find us on Bandcamp and Spotify.
Amazing. I was half hoping that you would start with that really shredding guitar lick that you did last time.
That was amazing.
I thought about it. I thought about it.
We'll wait for the third one. Oh boy. And rounding off this great troupe, we have Ian.
Dabs into the video. Why not? Let's go with that. Hello, I'm Ian. I run a little channel called Rhyme Signatures, where I talk a lot about progressive rock and metal. Specifically, mostly I kind of stick to the metal side of things, very much the heavier side of things. So your black metals, your death metals, your doom metals, all that kind of sort of scary stuff, which makes your grandma go, ugh, that kind of music.
My grandma.
So I do, of course, still flirt with the classics, the old school prog rock, the modern prog rock, and all that sort of stuff. But I specialize very much in the metal side of things. So if you're looking for some of that, then come check me out.
Amazing. So we will be looking at the first half, the second half of the first. Well, I've already gone through this. I'm tripping over my words here. Oh boy. This is great. This is what we do it for. It's for the views. We are going to be looking at our favorite records of the last 3 months. Those records that disappointed us and those records that surprised us. And then we'll finish everything off by what we're looking forward to in the next 3 months coming forward. So with that, let's start with Brent. Brent, what was your favorite record of the last 3 months?
My favorite prog album of the last 3 months was the new album to follow Polaris.
Nice.
This is really my introduction to the Tangent. I have a couple of their other albums where I've listened to and I've just kind of thought, yeah, they're okay, but this is one of those unique albums I threw on and instantly it was like, this is special, and I had to listen to it repeatedly. And yeah, it's second masterpiece of the year so far, in my opinion.
Amazing. So what would you consider the first masterpiece then? I'm curious.
That would go back to Caligula's Horse.
Of course.
Yeah.
Good,
Nice.
Of
good.
course. Two great records. I'm glad that you have found the love of the tangent, because I've loved the tangent since Not As Good As the Book, and then I went back and I've discovered their first handful of records. And I'll talk about them in a little bit, because I always found like they're hit and miss for me, and I'm sure you guys know my spotty history with the
Yeah.
tangent. I've really loved this one. You know, I thought that To Follow Polaris was a really good effort, and the fact that it was pretty much written and performed entirely by Andy himself
And I had
was
no
a
idea
huge
that
thing.
he was that prolific. I thought he was just a good keyboard player to boot.
Yeah.
And then, you listen to it, you wouldn't even know that he was the only one doing it. It's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
amazing in itself.
Yeah. What did everybody else think about this record?
It is.
I haven't listened to it yet. Need to get on that.
Same.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
I love it.
I have some. Yeah.
Yeah, the Tangent's always been one of my favorite groups. I pretty much came across them like back with their debut record when it came out, so I've been with them the whole journey. And yeah, their last few records can maybe be a bit hit or miss, but this one really kind of righted the ship, and I think is a really solid record from them. And more impressive, like you said, that it's all Andy Tillison doing everything. So
Yeah.
amazing work by him.
Yeah. And Matt, I know you really like their last album. How did this one compare?
The Tangent's last?
Yeah,
You may have me confused.
I
But
thought
I do
you
like
really,
the Tangent.
yeah, I thought you
I
liked
love
why can't I think of it? What was their
it's the
last album?
greeny one.
Yeah,
The greeny one is the one I really like.
Yeah.
I don't know the name. It's got a bunch of flora and fauna.
Oh,
on the front.
A Place in the Queue, because that's a green one.
Perhaps. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
all
No,
green?
I haven't dug too far into this album, maybe once or twice through. It was the last album. You're right.
I
I made
thought
you look a
so.
fool. And yeah, the last, and I never remember names, but the blue cover.
Yeah, the
girl
lady tied to the
crying.
lamppost.
It's called
Yes.
Songs from the Hard Shoulder.
That's
from the
it,
Hard Shoulder.
There
Nathan,
we
coming in
go.
clutch. Thank you.
Yes, I did love that album. Yeah, I just haven't given this one enough time yet. Tangent are pretty. You have to go in.
Got to go in
It's like
hard.
it takes some dedication. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
You'll have to
half-ass
forgive
this.
my ignorance, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is Sean Filkins associated with the Tangent, or is he in something else? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Because
Yeah,
I
I don't
remember
think so.
listening to like one of Sean Filkins' records like ages ago, like War, Peace, and something, I think it was. I don't remember, but it was incredible. And I was just thinking to myself, is that the Tangent as well or not? I don't know.
I don't.
This is what I mean. I'm very ignorant when it comes to this sort of stuff.
I thought he was on like a Big Train record back, like maybe in the pre-David Lungden era of Big Train.
From like
but
Lorien, I think it says here on the internet, and he released a record in 2011 called War and Peace and Other Short Stories, and that was amazing. And I don't know why I had it in my head that he was involved with the Tangent. I have no idea why, but apparently it turns out I'm completely wrong. So, you know.
Everybody's getting
I do have
tested
the,
by their prog
Yes.
cred
There's
today.
been a lot of members in that band, so you could
Yeah.
very be right, Ian.
Yeah, I've got the Slow Rust of Forgotten Machinery, I think it's called. I've got that on CD, and I really like that one. I thought that was a great record by the Tangent. No love.
That's my least favorite one. I don't
Oh,
like that record
Windage.
at all.
guys, just stay in your own corners.
I think maybe it's because I'm coming at the Tangent from like a different perspective, you know, like my sort of like background as to what I like musically is kind of different, so maybe that's why I
Yeah.
like it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I vibe
that's
that record.
fair.
Though.
That's fair.
They've
Oh,
The
they've
audible
always
sigh there. Just the,
yeah, they've always just kind of been tangentially pun intended on my radar, but I've just never really taken the time to sit and listen to any of their music before. I've got a couple of their albums on my PC that I probably pirated like 20 years ago now, and
Yeah.
maybe it's time for me to go back and give them a shot.
I do remember one of the first records that I pirated in full was their Calm record, which I thought was kind of ironic, seeing as it was all about our relationship with technology. But yeah.
Idiot. Oh.
Well, this was, just after the Napster and Morpheus craze, and all those were shut down. I'm like, I'm going to try this torrent thing. Let's see how this works. So yeah, and then my high seas buckaroonies became a thing. So anyway, let's move on. Let's go to Matt. Matt, what was your favorite release of the last 3 months?
Yeah, so this is interesting. I was caught between two albums that could not be more different.
Yeah.
And so I've decided on the fruity one. The fruity fun, A Dream Is All We Know by
Yeah.
the Lemon Twigs is my
Yeah.
favorite album of quarter two of life, you might say.
Yeah.
I am a big Lemon Twigs fan. And Brent picked a real proper prog album, but I don't think that this one's any less progressive. Case in point is I was trying to play their songs on guitar from this album, and there was one I was like, it's a piano song. They don't know how to fall in place. I was like, I'm going to try to learn the song on guitar, make it a guitar song. There were like 30 chords on Ultimate Guitar. I was like, nope, I can't do that. So any of Brian Daddario's songs are just like crazy with the amount of technicality. Yet the songs are incredibly accessible, fun, poppy. So that's kind of my sweet spot. Is like sounds simple, sounds like in a Beatlesy way, but has a lot of harmonic depth, melodic depth to it. And I definitely feel that way about this album, really all their music. This is just a continuation for me of what they've been doing for 5 really strong albums now.
Yeah, this was my runner up, and it was so hard for me not to include it as my number one, because this was the album that got me, like I bought into Lemon Twigs with this record. Like Everything Harmony was a good album, and I was like, okay, I'll keep my eye on them. And then this one was the one that's like, okay, I'm a full fan. Like I think this record more than any I've been listening to the most in the past 3 months, just with how fun and how much of a throwback it is to like the Beatles and ELO and the Beach Boys and like that really happy pop rock from like the 60s and 70s, that it's almost like antithetical to so much of what we have currently, that it's like a breath of fresh air in a really weird kind of familiar way. So yeah.
Welcome to the light
Agreed.
side.
It's
Made it.
incredible. I love this album. I absolutely love it. It was one of my honorable mentions for favorite of this quarter. Hands down, one of the nicest, most pleasant, most engaging and easy to listen to things I've ever picked up in my life. It's just an endless ray of sunshine. It's just, I don't understand how anybody could listen to this and not fall in love with it. It's just so pleasant and so easy to love. I love it. It's incredible. It's so much fun, and I absolutely love it.
I need to give this one a listen.
Yes, yes, you do.
Although, if you said 30 chords in a song, I'm guessing most of them also probably looked like, shortened versions of passwords Google gives you.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Some sharp 7th add 9 raised flatted fifths.
Yeah.
That's jazz.
Definitely more than 4 fingers on the fretboard.
I've heard a few songs from this album. I have put it on. I don't know if it's my thing, but I think I have to check this one out. You guys seem to love it a lot, so I wanna feel what you guys are feeling about this.
But again,
I wanna see
force it if
what's
you have
going
to.
through
It's
your
great.
head.
Yeah, if Ian loves it, then
I mean,
metal guy.
It's very, very different to my particular choice. But, I still love the Lemon Twigs. They occupy that special part of my heart where even a withered old black metal screamer like me can enjoy it.
I will check that one out.
Oh, Brent, you'll love it.
I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
And I've meant to, but my memory's real bad. I've got the old.
Yeah, that's fair. And Nathan, I see it behind you there, so I know that you've at least listened to it.
Oh yeah. This probably would have been my favorite of the quarter as well. Like, it was gonna be my number one pick, but I'm glad I kind of get to pick another one. So kind of helps me a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
I love everything about it.
Yeah, it's so good. So that album was A Dream Is All We Know from the Lemon Twigs. So Nathan, if this one wasn't your number one, what was your number one?
All right. So yeah, my other choice that of an album that really impressed me that I really love this year is this one. Uh Azure. This is called Fim. This is a really cool record. Um Kind of takes that modern prog, like, the Deer Hunter, Thank You Scientist, Coheed and Cambria, that kind of style, and does this really elaborate concept album that's across like 2 discs. It's pretty lengthy, and there's a lot going on, a lot of character work, and a lot of like storytelling. It's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons game come to life, and it's just a really fun journey. All the instrumentation is really cool and well done. It's really unique and different from a lot of other things I've heard, and so I was just really impressed. The vocalist is just like next level. Like he does all these crazy things with his vocals, portraying these different characters and, doing these wild things. And, I like how the music kind of portrays the story really well. So it's just right in my wheelhouse of like modern prog that I truly love and I think's different and unique and interesting. And I just found it really cool to keep listening to. So that was Azure's Fim as my favorite of the quarter.
Yeah, I've been loving this one. And like, I think this one is kind of the best of a lot of those records that we have very similar to this. Like, I know that there was like Amscray's Die Happy, and that there was Topiary Creatures with the Metaphysical Tech Support Hotline, and Professor Caffeine and the Insecurities. And I just feel like Fim kind of like rose above all of them. Like they're all still very, very good. And they all kind of dance in the same beat and in the same atmosphere. But I don't know, there's something about the within Fim that put it above all those other ones. It's like they were the masters of the craft within this jazzy, poppy, punky kind of prog rock landscape.
It's Chris Sampson, man. I'm telling you. Anything anything they put their voice to just immediately gets it for me. I love Chris Sampson's vocals. I remember listening to TB Project's Hourglass and Exiles, I think it was last year. Really, really strong record that. And Chris Sampson was guesting on the vocals on that. Loved him on that. Love him on this. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. I love this record so, so much. As Nathan said, it's like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign come to life. Even when you look at the lyrics booklet, they've got the hand-drawn map of like the game world and everything like that. There's lore, if you go diving back through their albums, it's incredible. It kind of, to me, feels a little bit like if you cross Coheed and Cambria with like the Mars Volta or something like that. I love it. It's got that insane technicality and flourishing sort of things that you get from the Mars Volta, but then you got that sort of indie, emo, rocky kind of aspect of things like Coheed as well. Oh, it's perfect. It's so, so good. Again, in my short list of favorites of this quarter, but I'm glad I don't have to talk about it now.
It feels as though like we're all picking our favorites, but it's all kind of like a lot of cross contamination. And yeah, that's why I love these things, right? It's just like, oh, good, you're talking about it, so I can reach into my other 4 records that I've been loving this quarter.
That's yet another one.
Oh,
I need to listen to it.
Hell yeah.
I think you would really like this. I think this is really up your alley.
Sounds like it from the description.
Yeah. Matt and Brent, have you heard it yet?
Oh,
I've managed to get around to Amscray, but not this one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, Coheed, you got me.
Yeah, and it's a very minor criticism. My only criticism is that it is a little long.
Yeah.
But I think if you consume it as if it's a double disc, it makes it a little bit more digestible. But when you only have, like, for me, it's just the streaming site, right? And because I didn't want to immediately shell out some money for it in case it didn't hit. But I find listening to the CD of 1 disc, then 2 disc creates a much better listening experience than just the 80 minutes that it is on streaming.
Yeah.
So, all right. So yeah, that was Fim by Azure. Great pick, Nathan. Let's go to Trav. Trav, what was your favorite of the last 3 months?
So, it's been no secret that this quarter has been a little rough on me. around the end of March, I lost my mom, and I went through a breakup, and so I hadn't really had much of a chance to really dig in and dive into a lot of new releases this quarter, but there was one release that, for me, truly stood out above everything else. And I really have to thank Nathan for this one, because this was something he had recommended, and that would be Quantum Down the Mountainside. Just a really great. I don't even know if it's fully prog metal. It's more like a progressive hard rock kind of album. Kind of in the vein of something like Pain of Salvation's early works, but not quite as much leaning on metal riffing. But it's just got such an atmosphere to it. It's kind of like what I want Opeth post Watershed to have sounded like. Very dark, very depressing lyrics, which probably contributed a lot to how much I've listened to it over and over again. It's probably my most listened record from this past few months. Just, it does have a dark and depressing atmosphere, but it's also just chock full of amazing musicianship, really beautiful songwriting. You've got a couple of guest appearances from two different members of Haken doing solos, and it's just a magnificent record. It is the only album I've purchased on vinyl this year so far, so that probably tells you something.
I'm gonna Uno reverse card you because I haven't actually listened to this one. So I know. It's been on my to listen list and I haven't listened to it yet. So
I am shocked and appalled.
I know. I'm sorry. Like I said,
I think you'll dig it. I mean,
okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The vocals kind of have a bit of a Geddy Lee-ish quality to them, I find. It's really kind of neat. It's a neat record.
Amazing. Yeah,
Geddy Lee
it
and
was.
Watershed.
Say it again.
Geddy Lee and Watershed by
Ooh.
Opeth. You said?
Yeah,
That's good.
it's a little weird.
Oh,
Yeah.
And there's like shades of King Crimson and Mastodon in the guitar riffing. It does wear its influences on its sleeve a little at times, but it really does have a great, like, unique sound once you put everything together. It's, like I said, it's my favorite album this quarter. It's a solid contender for album of the year for me so far.
Definitely on Team Travis with this one. It's a great album. It's so good. It's really one of those sort of like definitely uncovered hidden gems that I think more and more people need to be listening to and talking about, because it feels like, you get these ones that they sort of rise up from out of nowhere and everybody talks about them and it's a big sort of like, oh, but nobody's talking about this record. But it's really, really good. It's absolutely fantastic. And again, kudos to Nathan for bringing this one to everyone's attention, because it's knocked me out of the park as well. So again, it was very, very nearly one of the honorable mentions for my best, but I limited myself to 5, and I was like, okay, maybe it was number 6, but it's still great. It's a great record.
Yeah, I really loved it. Of course, that's why I brought it to the table to everyone. But yeah, amazing. I believe it's a debut or early record from them, so really exciting and promising to see what they continue to do in the future. Hopefully,
I think they have.
Maybe they haven't.
I think they have an EP before this. I know that they have a single, which is a cover of Yes's Roundabout, and it's a little quirky. It's a little odd.
Yeah. So first full length, but yeah, they have an EP. I think that sounds right. Yeah.
Wow. And it was Quantum.
Down
with
the
their
Mountainside.
album Down the Mountainside. Amazing. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out after I finish this. So. All right, Ian, what do we got for us? What was your favorite?
Oh, it's me. It's my turn. How exciting. There was very nearly an upset to this particular choice. Something very nearly sort of decided to oust this one off the pedestal. But then I made the decision to listen to this one about 3 hours ago. And I can't see many things challenging this for me for album of the year. It's Bellum 2 by Aquilus.
Yeah.
Very, very dark and scary looking cover, but I've really been like engaging my atmospheric progressive black metal like side this year. I have been feasting for days on a couple of records in this quarter. Bellum 2 is 100% the absolute king of the crop for me, though, certainly at the moment with the young upstart of Roma by Orgone coming up at its heels. But I'll talk more about that maybe later if I get the chance. But Bellum 2 for me is an absolutely incredible marriage of traditional black metal with your blast beats, your banshee screams, your yada 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 yada, and your scary atmospherics, whatever. But they blend it so perfectly with this kind of cinematic and sort of orchestral flair. And it really makes for an exciting blend of two wildly opposing styles. You've got this stark, harsh, grim, wintry darkness against this beautiful, heart-achingly, fantastically, just magnificent soundscapes, you know, and you bring the two of these things together and it creates for something which I think is personally one of the most unforgettable, adventurous and exciting things I've listened to, not just this year, but in the 2020s, you know. It's my first time discovering the band. They've obviously got Bellum 1 that came before this, and they've got another record as well. So this is like their third studio album. And it's one guy. It's this one guy, Horace Renquist, I think his name is, something like that, from Australia. And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to do it all. It's fine. I got this. I don't need nobody else. I got this. You know?
Gosh.
And it feels like the one-man band thing is really becoming like much more of a big deal lately in the prog scene. Obviously, with like bands like Towhide are really like just championing the cause, which is great for progressive metal. But I was looking for something darker, you know, as I so frequently do, and I found it with Bellum 2. It absolutely blew my mind. There is nothing I can think of which is even remotely as, I don't know, broad and adventurous as this. It really filled a hole in my withered old heart. And I think even if you're a little bit sort of like, ugh, when you think about black metal and you think about blast beats, and you think about like vocals, I think this will still probably do a little, at least a little bit for you. You know, I think it's definitely worth a look, even if you're on the outside of this sort of thing. So that is Bellum 2 by Aquilus.
Okay,
something-
good, because I am a bit on the outside with black metal. I'm not a fan usually, but oh, what was that
Give it a
release
go.
from like last year? Adam or something like that. There was yeah, it was like their last album before they broke up, and that was like last year. I'm struggling to remember, but I really liked that. So maybe I'll have to give this one a shot.
Yeah,
Give it a go. It's a hell of a thing.
Yeah, this was another one that was on my runners up for the best album of the past three months, and I've loved this one. It was like this and the album from Alcest that was like, which one is it going to take? You know, is it going to be the one? Is it going to be the other? That's the one. That's the one. And I loved both of these records. You know, black metal is really surprising me these past 2 years of just how good, how innovative, and how almost like how accessible it's becoming. Like it's not just the shoestring and tin can kind of mixing that they've done in the past. You know, it's actually, you've got a little bit of dynamic within the mix. You know, the mastering sounds really good. So yeah.
Also the MIDI strings on this album for like a one-man thing. They sound really good.
Right?
It's
They
like
sound
a
legit.
full-bodied sound. Like, I know
you
some
could have
MIDI
convinced me
strings.
there was an
There's some
orchestra
rough
like
ones.
being hired for this, and I'd have believed you. You know, it's incredible how good of a job they've done making it sound real. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered the band I was thinking of, Amun.
Oh God, that was amazing!
The Spectre and Obsession album,
the 8,000-hour long record. It's like about 100 whatever minutes. It's incredible. It's so good.
Absolutely incredible record. But for me, like, I hate black metal. Like, okay, hate's a strong word, but I mean, it's never been my thing. But that album might have changed my mind a little. So
I think if you dug that, you'll probably dig this.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
I think I'll give this one a shot.
Yeah, I am firmly on the outside of this genre, but I'm a huge Opeth fan, and this kind of tapped into the same light and dark.
Yeah.
And just like I said, the sound of the orchestra, the symphonic sides, those orchestrations are really cool. really interesting, and yeah, it made the other stuff more than tolerable. I grew to love the blackness.
I was sat there
So-
going, "This is one of the best bits," and you're just like, "Ah, sorry."
Well, this was alongside the lemon twigs for my top.
I mean, it's in the kind of like
Wow.
like here and here. It's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Nathan, I know that you were able to actually digest this one and take it in.
Yeah, and I'm very on the outside of the black metal stuff, but for some reason, just this one captivated me and interested me, and I really like because I feel like the aggressive vocals are a little bit like kind of back in the mix, so it's not as forceful and as dark and brooding, and I like how it's blended with all the orchestral elements, the folk elements, kind of bringing that Opeth vibe, which I do like Opeth quite a bit. So yeah, so I was able to really enjoy this one also.
Yeah. Amazing. What a great pick. All right, I guess that leaves me. This is an odd one. This past year, I've been really into pop music for once in my life since it was like middle school. And so I've been like this whole summer, I've been listening to nothing but like Charlie XCX and Chapel Rowan, and like, those have been like my girls as I've been enjoying the summer. And one of the things that, like, obviously the last dinner party was like the one that kind of kicked it all off for me back in the winter. And this was an album that surprised me. And it was mainly just because I love the title of the record and it's what brought me into it. So my favorite record of the last 3 months has been Radical Optimism by Dua Lipa.
"Oh,
Wow, cool.
It
okay, sure."
came out of nowhere, and I know not a lot of people are bopping to it as much as her last record of Future Nostalgia. And there were a few tracks off of that record that I enjoyed, I think like the big radio singles. But for me, there are two editions of this record. There's the standard edition that it's being played on the airways, but there's an extended edition of this record where each song is like 5-6 minutes long. And it's quite proggy in the compositions, in the structures, allowing the music to give it a proper space. Because one of the things that I struggle with pop music is how constrained everything feels. Like everything feels like I'm in a box and I'm not allowed to move. Within this, especially the extended edition, it allows me to breathe. It just kind of allows me to really get into the music. There's a lot of moments on here that I find I just keep coming back to time and time again, which is kind of interesting for a pop record. These Walls, I think, is my favorite track of the year so far. Even though it's basically about a couple that if the walls could talk, they would tell them to break up. But I don't know, there's like a bop to it. I love Houdini. I love Training Season. Maria is a massive bop. I don't know what's happened to me. I'm it's like I drank some kind
I've
of
entered my
Kool-Aid.
Atmo black metal era. You've entered your pop era. It's all
It's
good.
true.
It's all good.
It's true. Yeah. So like I have a whole playlist that I've been listening to all summer long called Hot Girl Summer. And it's just like nothing but Sabrina Carpenter, Chapel Rowan, Gracie Abrams, Olivia Rodrigo. And it's just like that's all I've been grooving to this whole summer. So yeah, that was, if anybody is interested in listening to it, it's Radical Optimism, specifically the extended edition by Dua Lipa.
I'll try it. I'll try anything. I've never really. Well, I've obviously heard some of her songs before. Obviously because it's Dua Lipa. She's like literally everywhere. But I've never actively, like sought her out, as it were. But with the recommendation, with the commendation, I'll try it, man. I will try anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know
Brat's amazing. Brat is a class record.
Oh,
That is
Brat!
so good.
I
Brat's
love
amazing.
the moment I listen to it. I'm like, what am I? This is amazing! Like, holy
Yeah,
geez.
Charlie XCX is
Came
Brat.
out of nowhere.
Oh, it's so good. But hey, yeah, I'll try Dua Lipa. I'll give her a go. See what she's all about.
I do plan to do like a full video essay about this, but it's so strange to be listening to music on my own and then going out into the wilds and then hearing the music outside as other people, and I'm like, is this what it feels like? Is this what everybody else feels like when I can go into a music store and they have the records on display? I don't have to go and ask or like go into the bargain bins to try to find these things. Is this what everybody feels like?
Amazing.
Oh boy, yeah. So anyway, I don't expect anybody else to have listened to this one. So
Has anyone else?
has anybody else listened to Radical Optimism?
Nope.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyway, just because I love it doesn't mean that you will. But
Hey, respect for bringing something different is all I can say.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
True to yourself, and I love that.
Yeah.
man.
But
I don't know what's
we're all
happened, but-
radically
How Prog
pessimistic.
is that?
That's right. That's right.
That's-
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I'm coming into my synth era wave of Rush, right? It's just like, oh boy, I'm going like completely against the grain here. Okay, let's move into some of our disappointed albums. These aren't necessarily the worst records, but these were the records that we either had high expectations for and they didn't meet it, or maybe we had lower expectations and it's still, it disappointed us in one way or another. So I think this time let's go backwards. We'll start with Ian, and then we'll go
Spaghetti-O.
around and we'll go there.
Okay.
So
Oh
what was
no,
the-
I get
what was the most
I get-
disappointed record?
I get to upset people first. Hooray!
That's why we
Oh,
do
God.
it.
I actually have 5 that disappointed me
wait.
this quarter.
Do we
I
want to talk
know.
about some honorable
Ooh.
mentions before we
Actually,
dive
yeah.
in?
That
Let's
might
talk about
help
some
shout
honorable
it.
mentions.
Yeah, I think we should.
Let's massage people into the disappointments before we dive into them.
Good
any
idea.
any kind of like runner-ups, because luckily everybody talked about the ones that I loved. Bellum 2, Fim, Lemon Twigs. The only two that weren't talked about, Alcest was one, and then Ian might have to help me with the pronunciation of this one. Is it
Les
Pia-
Chants de l'Horreur.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the
sorry.
one.
And
And there's
I think it's
Pia
Pia
Mater, Under the Shadow of a Foreign Sun. I absolutely love that record. That was so good.
So
I hope to
pleased.
I hope
love
to
that
get
record.
I hope to get a review out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. For me, OU, however you pronounce it.
I believe it's
There
yeah,
two
it's Ooh.
frailty. Ooh, okay.
Mm.
Ooh's 2 frailty. That almost was my favorite of this quarter. I dug the record. It's a little wild, but it's got some great moments on it.
Yeah. When you have Devin Townsend helping out with the production and even guest appearing on a track, it's going to be real good.
And recently, I didn't even realize this album had been out for as long as it has, but Memory Palace by Intervals. I'm a sucker for that instrumental shred guitar music kind of thing. So, and Aaron Marshall, my fellow Toronto homeboy, he does it right.
Big up respect.
Amazing.
Big up respect.
Yeah. Any other honorable mentions within the best category?
There's only one that hasn't been touched on. I don't think anybody else will be talking about it. I don't actually have it on copy yet, but it's oh god, it's not going to look very good at all. No, you can't really see that at all. It's on order. It's coming in the post. It's Pleroma by the band Orgone. I think that's how you pronounce it. Orgone. It's Pleroma.
Yes. I love that record.
Yeah. It's interesting because their online presence is like basically nothing. I've been trying to find out the names of the band and I still can't find out what the hell they're bloody called, which is helpful. It's like okay, that's great. You can only stream it on Bandcamp, and there's a couple of tracks which are missing from it unless you buy it. So, but for me, again, it follows that similar sort of like experimental black metal thing that Bellum 2 was doing, but instead of mixing it with an orchestra, you're mixing it with French lounge jazz for some reason, which kind of works. There's a lot of sections of like this kind of Edith Piaf style French singing with the saxophone and the slow jazz being mixed in against the black metal. And you've got these interstitial tracks, which normally I'm not a big fan of, but they work so well in the context of the music, and it really accents everything else into this incredible 17-minute epic, which just blows my head apart every single time I listen to it, to move into a short track, into another 12-minute epic, and then finishing on an 8-minute epic. And it's like, I reckon with enough more spins, it would have been top of this quarter. If I'd discovered it a little bit earlier, I think it would have been on top. But for now, it'll be a very comfortable second place. And I'm working on the reviews, though. Watch this space, as they say.
Oh boy.
I really
amazing.
like
Yes.
this one. Is Collapse the Wave is one of my favorites of the quarter. They've always been a favorite band of mine. So just that classic symphonic prog style, a little bit of Yes and Genesis, but done in their own way with really good vocals and just a really great album. And I really like the latest type of album. I thought was really strong too. A little bit on the long side, but really great classic symphonic prog stuff that I just think is excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Matt and
Nice.
Brent, any honorable mentions? That is
Anything
such
on
a
Beth
good
Gibbons
record.
album. Anybody who likes, I don't know how to explain it. Singer-songwriter / Radiohead-ish / The Smile.
Yeah.
Check it out. And if you're not aware of her, check out Portishead.
Yep.
No group from the 90s, you'll recognize her. But yeah, a great album and my second favorite. So
Yeah,
far.
it's
Incredible stuff.
in my mind, it's like if you took the singer-songwriter quality of like Kate Bush, but gave her the musicality and the vibes of a Roger
Yes.
Waters. That's kind of the feel that I have with Beth Gibbons.
Very
Definitely,
depressing.
definitely.
Yeah, it's not quite happy,
It's not happy, but
It's good depressing. It's good
but it's
depressing.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
It
Yep.
is.
You need a
Cool.
hug,
Very
Brent.
beautiful.
Not quite radical optimism, but
Not quite radical optimism for sure. Oh boy.
I had a couple. Okay, there are lots of EPs, it seemed. I really like that ugly parentheses UK
Yes.
EP. Forget what it's called. There's another one by a band called Magic Fig. That has anyone heard of Once and Future Band?
That's a new one for me.
They are produced by them. Pretty similar sound, if you are aware. It's kind of in the progressive psych pop world. And alongside that is another album, Crumb's A Mama. So Crumb is the band. AMA is the album. Very much like psych pop, but with a progressive electronic bent to it.
Nice.
So both on my to listen to list already now.
Maybe,
And I'd say my second favorite is I gotta save that for surprises.
Ooh.
I'm sure you all have some.
Oh.
All right. But before we get into the surprises, let's now dive into the disappointments. Let's ruffle some feathers. Let's go against the grain. Ian, what do you got for us?
Okay. Like I say, I did have a few disappointments this time round. But I think out of all the ones that I was most looking forward to, now again, obviously I always preface this by saying this isn't necessarily a bad album. I don't tend to listen to bad music, or at least I try not to, and I don't like punching down because it feels very mean. I don't like doing it, I try to be a nice boy when I can be. Well, at least when I can be. Sometimes you've got to be nasty, so teach me who's boss. I'll punch down on Dream Theater if the new one sucks. Don't get me wrong. I will call them out and smack them around. It's like, shut up, stop being stupid.
I was gonna say, can you punch down one of the biggest prog metal bands that ever came out? Like, that's the definition.
Do not
of
underestimate the power of my own personal ego to punch down on John Petrucci if I have to. Your beard game is weak, old man.
Okay, but you and I both know that if the new DT isn't good, it's not going to be Petrucci's fault.
No, James.
True.
You said it. I didn't.
I did say it, and I'll say it again. Anyway, I'm going to go and dunk on Charismatic Leaders by Wheel. That is my biggest disappointment of the year. Well, not of the year, of the quarter so far. Now, I went into this one expecting big things because Resident Human, absolutely love it. Incredible record. But I just felt, and I know it's breaking the cycle because of the great big bloody circle on the album cover. So I'm just like, you should think I'd love it, right? But no. Not even the circle could say this one for me. It just felt regressive, It just felt like it's Resident Human 1.5, It's like, okay, so you've taken the exact same album and you kind of done it again, which is fine. But I was under the impression you were a progressive metal band, and so I kind of expected a little bit more from you, It's fine. It's perfectly fine. But it's a 47-minute long album, and I will go on record as saying that Vim by Azure, which is 80 minutes long, feels shorter than Charismatic Leaders by Wheel does to me, because I just don't think there's enough interesting ideas. I don't think there's enough engaging thought patterns going on with the music. It just feels a little bit like seen it all before. And I was really hoping and expecting a little bit more from Wheel from this. It just didn't quite do it for me. It's not a bad record, like I say, by any stretch of the imagination. Submission, great track. The closing track of The Freeze, also very, very good. It's just everything in between feels just, I don't know, it ain't doing it for me, And it's a real shame because, like I say, loved their previous record, and I think that's honestly why I felt this one was a bit disappointing. So,
Yeah,
it's unfortunately Wheel with charismatic leaders for me.
Yeah, the Charismatic Leaders felt like a watered down Tool album for me, where it's like, okay, I can see where you guys are going with this, and it was good, but it wasn't very innovative for a band that I know is characterized as being a very innovative band. So I can see where you're coming from in that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This was my first time hearing Wheel, so I actually quite like the record. I almost considered putting it in my list of favorites, but now I'm like, okay, maybe I need to go and like listen back, and then maybe those earlier albums will diminish my opinion of Charismatic Leaders, because, well, I don't think it will. You always kind of, you always remember your first. And yeah, but that was my first real exposure to Wheel, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But I can see where you're coming from too. Like, it does have a very Tool-esque sound, and yeah, I can see where like it does feel like it's a longer record than it's 47 minutes. Even I kind of felt when I did my first listen, like, wow, it's only that long. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. Did anybody else listen to this guy?
I've heard it. I like it quite a bit, but I can understand the disappointment. I'm not too mad about it. But I think it's pretty solid. But yeah, it's not like mind-blowing or any like much of an improvement on their previous albums to me. So I could understand.
I'd just rather listen to Resident Human, at the end of the day.
Sure.
That record still kicks ass and I love it. But yeah, hey, whatever. We'll see what happens after this one.
All right, Travis, what was an album that disappointed you this time?
Okay, gonna need something as a shield for this one. I wasn't really all that taken with the new Kaipa.
Okay.
Kaipa is a band I've always they've always been on the fringe for me in terms of whether I listen to them or not. Really, about the only album I ever keep coming back to of theirs is In the Wake of Evolution. But yeah, it's a great record, but I don't know. I really liked the first single when it came out, but when I gave my attention to the album in full, it just didn't do it for me. And I found I'm not really a big fan of their female vocalists.
Okay.
Her voice just doesn't gel well with me. A lot of respect for the musicians in this band. I'm a particularly big fan of their guitar player Per Nilsson, especially.
Oh, he's great.
Well, yeah, especially in his work with Scar Symmetry, and replacing Frederick momentarily in Meshuggah. So I really wanted to love this album, but just the more I listened to it, the more I was just kind of a little put off. There's some good moments on it. It just rubbed me the wrong way.
That's fair. Yeah, there's a lot of music on here, and that does kind of have the double-edged sword in providing themselves enough rope to hang themselves with. I will talk about it in the next section. But
possibly.
we'll see who gets to it first. But I can see where you're coming from for sure. Yeah.
Yep. That's all I got for that.
No, that's fair. That's fair. All right, Nathan, let's see what feathers are you going to ruffle?
Well, for me, because I heard a lot of buzz and interest in this release, and when I heard it, it's a band that for some reason I struggle to get into, and it's Evergrey and their album Theories of Emptiness.
Same.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just more kind of generic metal to me. I just don't really hear anything too progressive or interesting that grabs my ear, at least. Just good, solid songs, but just nothing that really like excites me too much. So it was a little bit of a hit, a kind of a miss for me. Didn't really listen
Number
through it more
2 for
than one
me.
time.
That was almost the album I chose, but frankly, I'd been listening to it a little more, and I found it kind of started to grow on me a little. I mean, when you take out the whole progressive aspect of it and just treat it like, well, this is a metal album. It's like Saxon or Iron Maiden
Yeah.
or like a progressive light like Queensryche,
Yeah.
then it kind of makes a little more sense. And if you're in the mood for just something that's a little more straightforward, it hits the spot. But yeah, I feel the same way where there's like a lot of hype for this band and they never really deliver to the level of what I expect, which is also why I didn't choose it for my disappointment, because my expectations were already kind of a little mid.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
And
I
yeah,
just always feel I'd rather listen to a different record of theirs. It's fine. It's okay. It's there and it's got guitars and that sort of thing, you know. And Tom England sounds pretty good, I guess. But
yeah, I got recommended this by a fan of mine who's like, you gotta listen to it. This is one of the best prog metals out there. And I listened to it. I'm like, that certainly was an album. That's all I got. And I don't think I returned to it like at all, because I'm like, there's so much other good stuff that I have to listen to that I'd rather listen to. So I'm glad that I'm not the only one that was just like, okay, sure. I mean, it's not bad. I can't say that I hated it, but it's also
it's just there.
It's capital F fine. You know,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Which in some ways is the worst kind of album review, right? Because it's just like, I
It
don't have anything
is.
real bad to say about it. I don't have anything real good
I
to
had
say
a
about it.
hell
It's
of a
just,
time scripting my review for this
it's
one.
just
It was
there.
just like, how many times do I get to tell you it's kind of okay without it just sounding like I'm repeating myself?
it reminds me of when I was writing reviews for Ultimate Guitar and I was getting like all those generic new metal-y mainstream hard rock albums to review, and it's like every single one of them was just like 6, 7 out of 10 because I had nothing really to say. They weren't good enough to warrant an 8. They weren't bad enough to warrant like a 5. So it's like Evergrey is Evergrey is like the epitome of a 6.5 out of 10 band.
Yeah, that's fair.
Perfect 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Oh boy, amazing. Matt, what was something that disappointed you this time around? Oh, I think you might be
You're
muted.
on mute.
Wow.
There he is.
All right, here I am. This is definitely outside the prog world, but Vampire Weekend's new album, Only God Was Above Us. I'm a big fan of the band. I especially love their first 2 albums, but even their third, Modern Vampires of the City, I think it's called. Love that one. I wasn't huge on, I think like 5 years ago, Father of the Bride.
Yeah.
It was a little more breezy, not quite as like musically interesting, I thought. And I felt similarly about this one, and I've tried because so many people are loving this album. I think it's conceptually interesting. I think it's clever lyrically, as always. They are, but just I don't know. I don't get it, and I refuse to be convinced that I get it because I don't get it.
Yeah, I know what
It's
you
pretty
mean.
okay. I kind of liked it. I thought it was like I've never been like a huge Vampire Weekend kind of guy, but I dug it. I thought it was kind of neat. I spun it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But, it's pretty good. Yeah. But,
It was
you know.
pleasant, but I don't know, just not that exciting to me.
Yeah, I think I listened to their first 2 records. I'm like, okay, it's fine. And then when they started putting out some other music and after Father of the Bride, I'm like, yeah, I'm good putting these guys off to the side. I'm good distancing myself. Oh boy. Amazing. All right. Brent, what was something that disappointed you this time around?
How many guys have picked up an album based on the cover?
Frequently.
Easily.
Oh,
What?
yeah. I've listened to this one. I've listened to this.
What
Um,
is it?
Age of something, isn't it?
They're Age of
Scroll talks about it on this
Distraction.
channel.
And if
Yeah.
you remember a few years ago, this group came out.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah.
It's
Ghost in
the
the
lead
Machine.
singer plus one of the ex members of This Winter Machine. So going into it, I kind of knew who they were, and I thought, I'm going to check this out. And the hype was pretty big on it. I love that cover by.
It's very good cover.
And I don't know, it's very generic sounding. It just, much like Travis had said earlier, just kind of, you're 6.5, you're 5 out of 10, nothing great, nothing special. That's exactly how I would rank it. Good album, it's decent, but I wouldn't go out and spend the money on it. I would stream it. But that's just my view anyways, but that's that.
Yeah. What was it called again?
It's the group is called Age of Distraction, and the album's called A Game of Whispers.
Oh, okay. I haven't even heard about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gave it a spin. I remember Scott was talking about it on his channel a few weeks ago, and I decided to give it a spin based off that. And it's fine. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's not a bad record, like Brent says. It's just
It's
one of
not
those
great.
whole, yeah.
Yeah, nothing new. You're not going to go in it hearing something that's going to blow your mind.
I think it's
Okay.
worth at least one spin. I mean, it's like a
I
53
would
minute
agree.
long record. So it's one of those like make your own mind up kind of records.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay. So unfortunately for me, none of the albums that I have listed as my disappointment ones were talked about. So now I'm I was hoping that they were talked about so I could at least whittle them down. I'm going to go with the first one that I have on my list because I didn't put these down in any order. And mainly because of how much this album was being talked about, specifically around some of my friends that I respect very much musically in their opinions and whatnot. And I have just made peace with the fact that this band isn't for me. I've listened to a number of their records and I can't get into them. This is Return to the Earth with their album of Stalagmite Steeple. And yeah, it's I was sold that this was like the next Anathema or the next Gazpacho or the next like really big, very atmospheric, very build up kind of a feeling of album. And with their last record of, is it the Watcher of
Fall of the Watcher, right?
Fall of the Watcher? Yeah, thanks. From last year, I know a lot of people loved it, and I listened to it. I'm like, it's still. Maybe their next album will be the one that catches me, right? Like it was fine. I didn't really connect to it. And so coming into this one, I had high expectations, hoping that maybe they learn from their last record. Maybe they'll build upon it. Maybe they'll advance their music. And I just kept getting bored. Like I kept waiting for it to do something. I kept waiting for a big crescendo or a big, like, kind of like revolution of the music. And it just kind of fizzled. So yeah, and I know a lot of it was like what I was bringing to the album and kind of hoping that the album would be rather than just letting the album be what it is. So I know this is it's not you, it's me problem. So yeah, that was my biggest disappointment. It was Stalagmite Steeple by Return to the Earth. So.
Listen to it, yeah. Might not do.
I don't want to dissuade anybody from listening to it.
I might give it a try. I was trying to think which one is it, and then suddenly the album art was popped into my head as soon as I was trying to think what it was. Because I remember you reviewing it. I watched the review, and I was like, oh yes, that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I might give it a go. See if it gels with me, maybe.
Yeah, like I said, you're probably not missing much. The ones for some runner ups, and a lot of this was more of what I was hoping for. The two pop records that I had was Aurora's album What Happened to the Heart, and mainly because I loved the last album from her so much. This record, it only has like one or two tracks that I come back to. The rest of the album is just kind of there. Same with, and this is going to shock some people, but the Tortured Poets Department from Taylor Swift. I really struggle with it still. I figured maybe the deluxe super edition would help, and it really didn't. I struggle.
But some
it-
people say it's Taylor's Tales from Topographic Oceans, basically.
I
So.
was the one that said that, and
Oh, was it you? Oh, it was you who said it.
Yeah.
Who else would say that?
It's become into cultural zeitgeist already.
Yeah, it's either me
It's
or Scott,
iconic.
right? It's either me or Scott that would have said something
Yeah.
like that, and I'm pretty sure I said
Iconic,
that in my
love it.
review of it. And I don't know, guys. Like I thought maybe it was the length that was getting to me, and I figured I'll just put more time into it. And I did get to a point where I really, really liked it, but then it started to crest and come back down. Whereas Topographic Oceans just kept going up. So yeah, didn't appreciate that one as much. And I think the one that I was second most disappointed with, and it was because of how much I loved their previous record, was Voidkind by Dune. And Dune,
Ooh.
I liked. I know, Ian, I did this specifically for you. I'm like, how can I piss him off?
There's fighting words going on right here. How dare you? How dare you?
Now, in my defense, Voidkind is a good album. I would say out of all these, it's the best of the disappointments because I really enjoy it. It's just because Antama Anka was so good. It's a modern masterpiece. It's one of my
fair.
like top 10 albums of all time.
Yeah.
And if you don't at least reach the top 20 albums of all time within the follow-up, it's going to be a disappointment. And Voidkind was a good album rather than an amazing standout stellar star. So
I'll let you off the hook with that then. I will let you off that because I will concede, I will absolutely concede Voidkind is not as good as Etem and Anchor. So from that perspective, yes, it's disappointing. Didn't quite hook me in. I mean, it's still, like you say, still good, still a lot of crunchy riffs, but just not quite there. But I suppose once you do craft something as good as Etem and Anchor, how the hell do you do better? Exactly. You don't.
Yeah, I was hoping for like a Between the Buried and Me, like they released Colors. I was hoping for a great misdirect. And what I got was a Colors, and then it went straight to like Coma Eclectic, right? It's like, it's fair. Good, but it's not, it doesn't capture that magic, you know?
Yeah.
So,
that's legit. That's fair. I'll let you off, as I say. It's fine. we can still be friends. It's fine. We'll still be friends. Okay. It's all good.
Good. Oh boy. So any other disappointments from around the group? Yeah, Brent, go for it.
And this is only because the Flower King's new live album, which is superb, we'll go into that later. It's only got 6 tracks on it.
I keep trying to find it, but I think it's only available on physical form. Like I haven't been able to find it.
Yeah, you can only buy it either from Ronnie Stolter. There's a couple on Discogs you can buy it from, but my disappointment is it's only 6 songs from a one show that they should have put.
Are they long songs at least?
What's that? Oh yeah,
are they at least long? Okay.
Oh
shoot. Okay, so at least it's got only 6.
Okay. It's not bad.
And it's very, very good. It's just, why didn't they put the whole show out?
Yeah. Make it a double disc like their last 2. Yeah. Oh boy. Any other disappointments?
I got a couple.
All right, go for it. I made you angry. Let's see if you can get me.
Yeah, I'm going against Travis. To Frailty. I didn't like it at all. I didn't get it. I was like, Devin, my bae of my life, was involved. So obviously I was very interested because everything Devin normally touches, I'm like, yes, please, I'll take 3 of those. I didn't gel with this album at all. I do not get it. I like weird, okay? I like weird. I like quirky. I like strange. Others by no one. Weird band. Love them to bits. Incredible stuff. I just didn't get this one. I was just like, what is going on? I just like, it's just, what? And now, wait. The song with Devin's coming on.
You have to admit, though, it is kind of interesting to hear Devin singing in Mandarin.
Oh, yeah. That's cool as hell. Don't get me wrong. Cool. And I appreciate what I never get tired of doing are doing on the scene. You know, they are not afraid to sound completely different to everyone else. But in this instance, I'm sat here thinking, you might have moved the needle a little bit too far to the left, guys. You know, bring it a little bit back this way. Come on. Apart from that, the new Airbag album, I didn't really vibe. It's another Airbag album. It sounds a little bit like Pink Floyd again. Okay, that's pretty weird. Yeah, not to mention it's got one of the most boring cover arts ever.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I finally gave it a spin this morning, and I was
Mm.
just like, okay, I'm going to tamper my expectations based on what you
Mm.
guys have told me about it.
Mm.
And it still is just kind of like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a typical
fine.
airbag album.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. It's a 3.5 out of 5. It's fine, but it's just another Airbag album. And in
Yeah.
a similar vein to that, the new album by Japanese post-rock band Mono called Oath didn't really do it for me. It's fine. Mono have kind of been treading water a little bit with their last few releases. They've all just been sort of in that kind of it's fine territory. You know, it's a post-rock album. If you've ever listened to any post-rock before in your entire life, you know, Explosions in the Sky, Mogwai, whatever, you know, We Lost the Sea, anything like that. If you've ever listened to anything like that, you know what's coming with this. It's just like 8,000 minutes of tremolo picking and atmospherics. It's like, okay, we get it. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. I was just maybe expecting something a little bit more, but what I got was just more of the same. And it was just kind of disappointing for me. I spun it like twice, and I just don't have the desire to ever listen to it again. I'd just rather listen to something better from their back catalogue, you know? But they love it.
All right. Anybody else before we move on to surprises? All right, let's go into the surprise. Oh,
No.
Ooh,
okay. No. Okay, perfect. We are going into
that's me being
surprises.
crotchety then.
All right. So the surprises, these are albums that either blindsided us, we had low expectations and they completely skyrocketed it. Might not necessarily be our favorites, but these are the ones that surprised us the most. And I think I'm going to start at the middle and then I'll work my way around so that I'm kind of in the center there, which means that Nathan will be going up first. So,
Awesome.
Nathan, what was an album that surprised you?
All right, my pick for the surprise is Sleep Makes Waves. It's here, but I have no names for it.
Yeah.
Mostly because, you know, post rock isn't usually my favorite genre. I feel like it can be a little bit repetitive and not as interesting and exciting, but I feel like Sleep Makes Waves like bring a lot of energy and a lot of excitement and a lot of different sounds and styles into this post rock mix to make it really interesting and, you know, really hard hitting. And I really enjoyed that a lot. Like every track has something unique and interesting about it. It's all practically instrumental and it's just really, really cool. And I just really enjoyed this one. It was one of my favorites. So really surprised me. An album that I typically wouldn't love usually, but just like once I put it on for some reason just hit me really hard. So that was Sleep Makes Waves. It's here, but I have no names for it.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked about it because that was mine. So I can move on to one of my other ones. I love that
love this
record.
band.
It's so good. It was one of the few records that I didn't mind spending a little bit of money on to get the vinyl of it. And it sounds so good on the turntable.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Just
I'm
got my
so
copy
pleased
and
you're
also
all enjoying this band. I've been on the Sleep
Yeah.
Makes Waves train for a little while now, and to see you guys enjoying it as well, it just warms my heart. I love it so much. It's a class album. It's so friggin' good. One of the best they've ever done. Love it.
No, amazing. All right, let's move on to Matt. Matt, what was an album that surprised you?
Yeah. So I had seen this artist pop up in the past and tried it on a whim, had no expectations, but Joanna Wong's Hotel La Route or Hotel La Route is excellent. So it's almost pointless to point out the different genres she's touching on here because it's a collection of, I think it's like 50 minutes long and it's like 23 songs. So you got this almost Ween-esque or like Jack Stauber is another artist who does this kind of thing. It's like this little box of chocolates type album. All these different vignettes where she's storytelling, she's playing different characters. They don't necessarily all tie together. They're all like in and of themselves, little musical moments, and that goes for the music as well as the lyrics. It's all over the place. I think it's probably like progressive pop is one blanket phrase I would throw at it because it's very bizarre. It's very sophisticated musically, but there's also a strong pop element. The songs are short, they're immediate for the most part, but there's like some heavy punkier stuff in here. There's also like really pretty soft folk singer-songwriter. I think her voice reminds me of Regina Spektor. Have you ever
Hmm.
heard her? Very
Yeah.
delightfully soft and beautiful. And I almost think like this is the album Regina Spektor would have made if she would have had a little bit more of a adventurous career path. It's very odd, experimental stuff. And I've just been obsessed with it. I love this format. I love that kind of just really short song approach. And there's some tracks in here that are just so addicting to me. I think like uh, yeah, it actually connects a little bit with the Lemon Twigs in that respect. Like just, short and sweet, box of chocolates, probably the best way to put it. And she's a Taiwanese American artist. Doesn't have like physical media for this album at all. Kind of disappointing. I'm hoping that will come at some point. I know like Anthony Fantano reviewed this album, so it got some press because of that. Yeah, but just super great stuff. Amazing musician. Really pretty, but also intense. Tough to explain.
Again?
It's called Hotel La Rutte. There's even some like I think like the Deer Hunter throws in kind of those 1920s style
Y'all are
musical
throwing in
moments.
some good words to this. I've put it on my list.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
putting
some
it
of
on my
that
list
going
too.
on in here as well. Kind of this like French sophistopop sort of thing going on. Yeah, very, very good, very strange.
I've put it on my list to listen to. That sounds really fun. Okay. Brent, what do you got for us for a surprise?
A group called The Laughing Stock, and their album
Oh.
called Shelter.
Okay.
Don't know how to explain their sound. It's not quite prog. It's not quite pop. It's not quite folk. It's kind of a mixture of all three of them that they have their own style on. Check out the title track. One of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. It's all about kind of meeting in a place in the forest and just getting away from society and all the BS that we live with, to being without cell phones and just relying on nature to sustain us. Great album.
I will definitely check that out.
The Laughing Stock, you said?
Yeah. And they've got like 6 or 5 of their albums out, and I've never heard of them. So that was another unique.
Ooh.
The cover reminded me of like that gazpacho.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it totally does look like one, doesn't it?
It does.
Amazing. All right. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Has anybody else heard that? The Laughing Stock.
Nope.
Oh, okay. I'll check
I'm
that
gonna.
out. Yeah. This is why I do it, right? I'm just doing this to mine more music out of you guys. Fully self-serving right? All right. So yeah, I was kind of hoping for, luckily we've already talked about a few of these records. So I don't have to kind of talk too much about them. I think the one that I want to talk about currently that we haven't talked about is Eternal Snapshots by I just abbreviate it to HFMC. But Nathan, if you'll do me the honors to say the actual.
Yeah, it's Hasse Froberg and Musical Companion. Yeah.
Thank you. This was the best Flower Kings record I have heard since Desolation Rose. I love how it really captures the feeling of a Flower Kings record. And it really shows how much Roy Stoll leans on his co-creators when he's doing a Flower Kings record, and why the last handful of Flower Kings records have felt so hollow and empty for me, because he's not incorporating Hasse's influence, like his guitar playing and his vocal works and his harmonies and his song construction and his orchestration is everything that I love from some of my favorite Flower Kings records, from everything from like Stardust We Are all the way to Some of No Evil. it's the prog that I love, and it's the prog that I am craving. That this year we've only had like snippets here and there and like little drops. You know, we haven't had that big outpour like I usually want. But yeah, this was a shining beacon, and because I hadn't heard about it, and I figured, you know, whenever a artist is doing these kind of side projects from a band that I really respect and really appreciate, it 9 times out of 10 it just kind of feels like a watered down version of whatever album they're trying to emulate. And we've only had like 3 or 4 off the top of my head that I can think of that have exceeded those albums that have come before within those bands that they have come from. Like I'm thinking of Rio's album of Myth of the Monster Fist a couple years ago, Michael Romeo's from The World for Worlds from Symphony X, right? I feel as if this album can sit very easily on that kind of a pedestal where he's actually rising above the albums from what made him famous. So I've loved this, and I've gone back and I've listened to a lot of the HFMC albums because there's a lot of them. And I'm like, ooh, I want more. Maybe there'll be 1 or 2. There's like 7. And I'm like, all right, this is great. I have a lot of music to dive into. So yeah, Eternal Snapshots by HFMC, I've really been enjoying. And that was a real big surprise for me.
Yeah. Their back catalog is pretty impressive too.
Yeah.
If you like
Yeah.
this one, check the rest of them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm
Agreed.
brand new.
Yeah.
This introduced me to the band. So yeah, absolutely love that. All right. Ian, what was something that surprised you?
Oh, golly. I've been mulling over which of these I want to actually talk about. And I think ultimately I do kind of want to touch on the new Kuiper album as my surprise. Some are something it's a Swedish word. It's very embarrassing. I have now like 600 and something days on Duolingo with Swedish. So you'd think I'd be okay at this, but apparently not. Apparently Duolingo only teaches you that the owl is green and his name is Duo. It doesn't actually teach you anything about the bloody language that you're trying to speak. But Kuiper's new album, this one, is great. I love this. I think it's fantastic. I was so surprised by this because for me, Kuiper's always been one of those bands who are kind of just there, you know? I've never really... I'm not a big lover of neo prog. I'm not going to try and pretend otherwise because I'm just not. I don't mind it. It's there. I rarely get excited to listen to it though because it's just not my personal cup of chai latte. You know, it's fine. It exists. I'm a much heavier person in terms of music. You know, whatever. But something about this really, really ticked my buttons. Something about this made me pay attention. It made me sit up and it made me think, hang on a minute, have I been sleeping on this band the whole time? Have I missed so much that I just don't even realize it, you know? So I've been kind of diving back a little bit into Kuiper's back catalog, and I've been thinking, okay, pretty good actually. And I feel like this has been the album to unlock the secret, as it were. You know, it feels like this is my gateway drug into the wonderful world of Kuiper. And I feel like this is like a new section of the musical catalog being unveiled to me. And for that reason alone, I think I have to put this as my biggest surprise of the quarter, just because it's not just about the fact I enjoyed the album. It's about how it made me reflect back on the band as a whole to something that I've previously ignored. And I'm now thinking, hey, this is actually really good. What the hell? You know? So yeah, for me, it's Kuiper. 100% Kuiper for my surprise of the year.
Yeah, and this was originally going to be my surprise, but because we had already talked about it, I was like, I'll shine the light on HMF first. But I'm in the same boat in that like I've loved Kappa since I think 2003 when they put out Keyholder, and then I went back and I listened to Notes from the Past, and I've just been with them ever since. And In the Wake of Evolution is still probably my favorite from them, but since In the Wake of Evolution, I've always been kind of lackluster for what they've put out, especially their last 3, like Urskog and Children of the Summer, I think it was. Children of the Sounds. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so I kind of went in this with kind of low expectation, just kind of like, okay, well, let's see what we get. And it really surprised me. This is one of my more favorite ones. And yeah, when much like Fim's album, the only real criticism I have is that it's a little long. But unlike Fim, it kind of works to its advantage. Like it just allows me to be in that environment for so much longer. And yeah, I listened to Eternal Snapshots, and some Marginis Lugus.
Better effort than I managed.
Thank you. I've been going back and forth with these two records quite heavily, and I've been loving both of them.
Does anyone have a Kaipa starting album to recommend?
I would start with either Keys from the Past, which was their first after their very long hiatus from the 70s, or In the Wake of Evolution. Those are my two favorites, and I think within key Notes from the Past, and I know there's something about it that's just very welcoming as a new listener. So those would be my two.
Nice.
Yeah, if you were to start with a single song, it would probably be a complex work of art from Keyholder. That might be my singular favorite
good.
song from them.
Yeah.
Now that is an album cover.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was like right in the 2000s craze of like, we can do things on computers. Let's do
We
it.
shouldn't.
Is it as 2000s as Liquid Tension Experiment 2, where they discovered the liquefy tool on Photoshop?
Yeah, it's pretty up there. You know, it's pretty up there. Yeah, it's like, oh, I remember playing around with these guys when I was in my high school computer lab, just like all the geometric shapes. Let's see if we can make, things out of them. Amazing. Okay,
Nice.
let's round this off with Travis. What was an album that surprised you?
Surprisingly enough, Taylor Swift's Tortured Poets Department.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a pop listener. I don't really care much for Taylor Swift. I've given a few of her records a listen in the past just to see what the fuss is about. But this was the first album of hers that I kind of went into it maybe with some expectation of what I was going to listen to, or maybe just like some kind of just like, I'm going to sit and I'm going to pick this album apart. I'm going to give it a good listen. And I actually did find myself bopping to it quite often. And I listened to the full extended version, the Tales of Topographic Oceans of Taylor Swift, and I gave it an honest shake in one big listen, one sitting. And the fact that I didn't tap out of it, and that there were a lot of songs that I singled out as ones I would return to again in the future, I think that really surprised me because, like I said, I'm really not somebody who has much of an appreciation for Taylor Swift's music, but going into it with this idea of like knowing that I have friends who really dig her music and that she is, for better or worse, one of the most popular and enduring songwriters of our time at the moment, it kind of felt like a bit of cultural education for me to sit and listen to this album and really dig in and really pay attention. I will say the lyrics, meh, but I feel that way about pretty much every lyric. I mean, every genre. Lyrics are all kind of bad anyway, so. Why I play instrumental music.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've already said my piece about this album, and yeah, I hope that it ages well. I think I've met my diminishing returns. So we'll see. I'm
And I
hoping
wonder I
Mhm.
wonder if this is going to be one of those albums like Tales from Topographic Oceans, where at the time it was kind of poorly received, and then like 20 years later, people start thinking like, "Wow, that's actually a really good record, or it's a classic." Maybe
Yeah,
that'll happen to this.
yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see how this thing will age. So yeah. Any other surprises that came out? We'll kind of do a round table. We've already talked about my other ones, which was Collapse the Wave from the album from Kappa, and To Follow Polaris by The Tangent. Yeah, because again, I feel like Kappa and The Tangent are very similar for me in that it's hit and miss, but when they hit, they knock it out of the park. And I feel as if both of them knocked out their albums this time around. So
I can see myself and Nathan. I've got something in common again on the back wall. Surprise, surprise. Big surprise for me.
surprise, surprise.
Here it is.
Surprise,
Zamscray.
surprise.
Zamscray's Die Happy. Again, this was something Nathan found, sent it our way. I love this album. I love this band. I think it's so much fun. It's really ticking that sort of Deer Hunter thing that I really wanted, but a lot more poppy, a lot more accessible, a lot more sort of like immediacy. I will go on record as well as saying that In the Garden, like a bit later on, that's one of my favorite songs of the year. I love it so much. It's just incredible. I can't stop listening to it. Unbelievable record, so much fun. And they said that to me for nothing. I was like, oh my God, that's come all the way from New Jersey. What the hell? Why are you spending so much money on postage? Stop that. You know, it's like, it's very, I appreciate it, but for goodness sake, that's expensive. You know?
Yeah.
Apart from that, for the ones we haven't talked about yet, Willow Smith with Empathogen.
Yeah.
That came out. I was like, what the hell? This is
That's
the
really
same
good.
girl who did Whip My Hair Back and Forth, which I
Mhm.
can't really do very well either, but pretend
It's all
I've
in
got
the
hair
beard.
for- Exactly. I was not expecting this avant-garde, experimental, jazzy piece from Willow Smith. I was like, what the hell? Have I
Yeah.
been sleeping on something here? This is incredible. Unbelievable record.
Yeah, she's labeling
And,
it as like her first adult album as well. She's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is going to be the new direction. And I am so excited to hear
Yeah,
the next album
absolutely.
from her. Yeah.
I will be paying a lot of attention if this is what we can expect from Willow Smith going forward. And last of all, something that really just came to my attention when I was just browsing Twitter one day, and I was like, people are recommending albums. I'm going to click on some of these randomly and see what happens. And I think you'll dig this one, Notes. I think this is a really very much up your alley. The album is called Heavenly Down, and the band is called Sear Bliss. Sear Bliss. And it is kind of like that sort of aggressive-y, death metal-y, black metal-y kind of thing. But the twist is great. The twist is that there's a huge amount of brass instrumentation going on. We're talking horns, we're talking trumpets, we're talking, blow the man down cavalry charge trumpeteering. It's so good. It's incredible. It adds so much variety and texture to the music. It sounds, I have to be very careful.
What?
It sounds F-bomb incredible. It's so good. Travis, you look like you would enjoy this sort of music.
As soon as you mentioned brass, I'm like, what?
Hello.
This sounds
Honestly,
good.
It's like, forget your violins, forget your cellos and all that sort of thing. We're talking the brass band from hell. It's so good. It's like epic cavalry horns and trumpets.
So it's ska metal is what you're telling me.
Not quite ska metal. It's more like
marching
epic
band.
brass.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
like
okay.
marching band
Like
brass.
I play in I play in a concert band here in
You
the
do,
city,
you do.
and it's mostly brass,
Yeah.
brass and
Ooh,
woodwinds.
okay.
I've
We
only
don't-
given it like
I'm
a
the
couple of
string
spins.
player.
Yeah. I've given it like a couple of spins so far, but most of those two spins, I'm like, that's it. That's like Will Smith pointing at the bus that one time in the
Okay.
YouTube Rewind video. He's like, that's hot.
So what's this one called? This is going on my list.
It's called Heavenly Down. That's the album. And it's by the band Sear Bliss. Sear Bliss.
Noted.
You'll know you've got it because it's like a bird and there's like two trees and it's great. It's really, really, really good. When that first
Okay.
instance of the brass kicks in, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's
It's
it. That's
on.
the good
That's
stuff.
the one.
It's
That's the
really,
one.
really good.
Oh man.
This one could very well climb higher up in my rankings over the course of the year because I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
All right. I'm definitely sold for that. Any other surprises before we finish this off with what we're looking forward to?
Make sure you pick this up.
I will.
And this,
Oh, I
Ooh,
wanted
do
to
I
get my
keep
hands
on
on that
this?
one.
oh boy, have I
IQ.
ever been on an IQ kick lately. I'm driving everybody nuts.
Yeah.
But,
Dark Matter is one of my favorite albums
yeah,
from
and
them. So
they do a complete.
oh, Nathan, amazing.
knows the pain. Great stuff.
Well played.
All right. So let's go into what we're looking forward to. I feel like this can be more kind of like a little bit of a free for all. So I can start. I feel like I've always left myself at the end, so I can give myself a little bit there. Um, I think the one that I'm most excited for, even though there's a lot coming out in the next 3 months, I think Mir's album, Wheels Within Wheels. I know a lot of us have already listened to it and we really enjoy it. I'm really excited to talk about it and have the entire musical, everybody to listen to it. Um,
Can't
I'm
wait.
also really looking forward to the new King Gizzard, and this one's a long time coming. Like we've had to wait 6 full months, more than 6 full months
Whoa!
Whoa.
for their next. Like I thought that they were going to disband after not having a new
pract-
album out.
They've been on hiatus practically.
I know they're
King Gears are like
hiatus.
dog years, aren't they? 6 months in King Gears is like 12 years in Tool.
It's true, yeah. And their first single off of this is really catching my attention. Like I love this style of King Giz. So yeah, the album Flight B741, and then there's like a parentheses and other stuff, but I think it's just going to be Flight B741. And then 2 pop records, because now my eyes are, onto the pop. Magdalena Bay has a new album coming out, which is really good. I've loved their last record. I think it's called Imaginal Disc. It's the new one. The 2 singles off of that sound really nice. And because I've been full into the pop, the new Sabrina Carpenter album, Short and Sweet. I've been obsessed with Please, Please, Pleased and Espresso. Like those 2 tracks have just been over and over and over again. So those are the 4 that I'm really excited for that I know are coming out this next quarter. Steven Wilson announced his new record, and I don't know exactly when that's dropping.
2025.
2025, yeah. And
Early
Weather
2025.
Systems finally released their
Yes.
new record, or they're going
Can't
to, and I think it's going to be September.
September,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
We've been
Ocean
promised
Verge
this
Shore.
record for like years and years, and so I'm so excited for this new record.
Yeah, me too.
Can't wait
Yeah.
for that one.
Any other releases that I didn't cover? Because I know I'm taking wind out of a lot of people's sails.
I'll wait because I've got loads.
Okay. Well, let's
whittle
start.
it down for
I got
me.
a
Let's start
list.
Okay, sure. Go
I
for
got
it.
a list. Deep Purple equals 1. It's already out, but I haven't
Oh,
heard it yet.
yeah.
I'm, Deep Purple's done some
Love Deep
decent
Purple.
stuff in the last couple of records of theirs, so
That
should be
the new
good.
single is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, their last
I
2 records were really good. Whoosh and What Happens or What Now? Both of them
Yes.
were really good.
I second you with the King Gizzard, and the video for that song is so fun.
Oh, I haven't done it yet.
Okay. Leprous, Melodies of Atonement. Very excited to hear that one. The first single didn't do much for me, but the second one, mwah. David Gilmour, Luck and Strange.
Yep.
Always look forward to new David Gilmour. Pure Reason Revolution, Coming Up to Consciousness.
Yes.
That should be a lot of fun. George
yeah.
Rudis has a new solo album coming out, and the first single that I've heard from it was fantastic.
The vocals on that are so good.
So good. It's really whetting my appetite for new Dream Theater in ways
Yeah.
I didn't think were possible.
Apparently his daughter does all the lyrics on that album too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was on the Prog Report
Yeah.
Pink
So-
Floyd
Okay.
show, and he said that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I've got 2 more that I'm looking forward to. The new Nightwish, Yesterwind.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first single from that was pretty interesting. And the new Vola, Friend of a Phantom.
Not out in the next 3 months. That's 4th quarter, baby.
Yeah, so these are
It's still
mostly
unhyped.
3rd quarter releases, but yeah, the, Friend of a Phantom, hype for that. Yeah, that's my list.
Nice.
I love Vola so much. They're so good.
They
I
are.
learned. I got a lot of new stuff there that I
Go for
wasn't
it.
aware of. Well, just stuff from those lists that are like bands I like that I didn't know were dropping new stuff. But yeah, I got some to shout out too. So, does anyone know Tigran Hamasyan? He's a pianist, like virtuoso, kind of. Listen to his album Mock Root,
Okay.
MOCK Root.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he's cool. He's interesting.
Yeah, crazy player. I
It's
really like. Yeah, go ahead.
like picture if someone did like piano reductions of Meshuggah.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Hey.
that's or like
Okay.
it's piano gent.
Okay.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
can dig
he's like
that.
hammering on those keys. Yeah.
I like the sound of that. That sounds great. I'll check that
Yeah,
out.
just it's hard to explain. You just got to hear him. Um, super unique artist, and I think that's in August sometime. I also have King Giz. I have not listened to the single. I'm holding out. I've heard that maybe this is like blues territory, but again, haven't heard the single, so don't know. I'm looking for some hints in facial expressions. Okay. I also am psyched about Esperanza Spalding is a bass player in the jazz world. She has a really proggy album, Emily's D plus Evolution. I think those Emily's Devolution. She's doing an album with Milton Nascimento, who's a Brazilian singer songwriter, and that's a really cool collaboration. And yeah, Esperanza is just great. I've got, let's see, Julian Casablancas in the Voids. He is a singer for The Strokes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan. So the Voids are really solid, and they've got a new one coming. They're getting in a whole heap of trouble over this AI album art that they just dropped for the album.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, pretty stoked. September is also bringing Max Richter,
Yes.
who I know you
saw
like,
that.
Notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like the one song I've heard so far, very like classically beautiful, soft piano.
Nice.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
He's kind of a minimalist, classical minimalist artist. I'd say like one of the biggest in that space.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, like his album Three Worlds was my album of the year when that came out. No, you love that one too.
I love that one. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
what turned me on to him.
And then there's a artist Ginger Root. This is like super fun synthy psych pop goodness that I'm
Isn't
stoked about.
Floating Points also coming out with an album now that I'm thinking about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Super
hello.
stoked about that one.
So it seems that there's a lot of like kind of like jazz and some connection between the ones I'm looking forward
Last
to.
Floating Points album was so good.
Oh yeah.
So good. Like what the heck?
Yeah. And Pharoah Sanderson.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
In like really early October, so probably won't catch it next time, but Michael Kiwanuka is a really soulful singer, just like really classic soul type of sound, who I really love. Yeah, that's probably not it, but those are some.
Those are the ones, yeah. Brent, any big releases that haven't been mentioned that you're excited for?
Yeah, Tim Bonus's new one coming out in
Yeah.
August.
Yeah.
Anubis finally have a new album coming out in September called The Unforgivable.
Love that.
Big Train, that live album, I'm really stoked to hear that. These ones haven't been given release dates, so I don't know if it's even going to happen this year, but Gazpacho should be due with a new album. Deer Hunter, haven't heard anything in a while.
I need it.
And yeah, and new IQ as well.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Should be coming out sometime hopefully soon.
Amazing.
That's all I have.
All right, Ian, anything that we haven't covered yet?
Got a few actually. Yeah, I do have a few. I'm gonna nick one off probably Nathan's list with the new Bent Knee. Totally looking forward to 20 Pills Without Water. Cannot wait for that. Wasn't sold on their most recent one. It was kind of a bit weird.
I loved it.
It's still good, but I'm still hyped. That's fair. I saw them live. I can't remember who they were supporting. It might have been Vola actually. I was supporting Vola. It was like Bentley, Vola, and Haken, I think it was. It was a really good show. I remember that much. And they were so good live. They were incredible.
Yeah.
There's a new album by Ancient, with two eyes, Beyond the Reach of the Sun, that's coming out, that I think anybody on that sort of death metal, sort of proggy, classical sort of Opeth style sort of stuff should be looking into, because they've had some really, really good albums recently. It's been a while since their most recent one, so I'm looking forward to that. The New Zealand Ardor record, Grief, is coming out this next quarter. Very excited for that. The new Oceans of Slumber, Where Gods Fear to Speak. Quite disappointed with their last one, but the singles that I've heard from this new one sound absolutely fire. Like, Cammy is absolutely killing it with like death growls as well. I'm like, whoa, okay, girl, you got this. Love that. Incredible. So good. And against all hope, against all possibility of likelihood of anything, Winter Sun's Time 2 actually has a release date. Like, what? I thought it was a myth.
When?
I know, Travis.
When?
This next guy. Let me just find out. I'll find out.
I mentioned this in our last round table.
Yep. It actually has a release date. Where's it gone? Where is it? I've lost it. Winter Sun. Oh God, where is it? It's August, I think. It was officially announced. The release date was officially announced by the band. I mean, I'm still not believing it until I'm actually listening to it, but hey ho, we've got hope. There is hope that Time 2 is coming, and it will not live up to anyone's expectations whatsoever, because it's been 8,000 years since Time 1, and the guy kind of disappeared a little bit.
I'm already anticipating and ending up in my disappointments of the next quarter.
Same, but I'm still excited.
But I'm stoked.
I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
Like a Chinese democracy?
Yeah, kind of like that sort of level of like, where the hell has it been sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Or when Fear Inoculum finally dropped, but it was actually good.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Then there's the new record by Nile, The Underworld Waits Us All, which is going to be hopefully amazing. And finally, the new King Crow album of Hopium. So that's kind of exciting for me as well. So, got a few things I'm looking forward to on top of everyone else, like Nightwish. I'm looking forward to Mir, Weather Systems, Pre-Reason Revolution, Leprous, Jordan Rudess. There's a whole bunch of stuff I'm looking forward to. So this next quarter is shaping up to be pretty good, at least hopefully pretty good.
Amazing. And Nathan, I know you probably have a couple that we didn't even touch upon.
No, well, most of my big ones have been. That Winter Sun is August 30th, by the way, for those.
Oh, there we go. Hell yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, there's a trio of Charisma Records. They have a trio of albums coming out. One has been mentioned, the Mirror one, Wheels Within Wheels, which I'm currently obsessed with, and I'm sure kind of reserve that for best album of the next quarter. But
I'm so excited because I heard some there was some real promise in that first record, but I didn't fully come around to it. I don't know if that was their first record, but the last one.
Yeah, this is their second.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah, to me, this is like where it's fully realized. But anyways, also Ritual has the album The Story of Mr. Bogue Part 1, which is, a cool symphonic prog kind of gentle giant-y kind of cool band with a concept record. And also Two Smork with Dawn of Oberon, which is a cool kind of more,
it's a lot of fun
kind of prog. Yeah.
Nice.
So those are some of my John Anderson and the Band Geeks coming out with an album, True. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious. The single that came out was kind of cool, like more 80s kind of sound, but I think that could be fun. Simone Simons, Vermilion. She's working with Arjen Lucassen, I think, on this one, so should be a pretty cool one. I think those are most of everything else I think has been mentioned. So
when's that Two Smork?
That's August 30th.
Yeah, I had a spin, and it is very good. It's like very late 60s, early 70s kind of rock and it starts off with like a 17-minute epic. So
yeah, it's cool.
Are they from Norway or Sweden?
Norway, I think.
I want to say Norway, yeah. I think it's Norwegian.
Could be wrong.
There's a lot of great music coming out of part of the world.
Yeah, they've been really, really good. All right. Well, I think with that, folks, I think we're going to bring this down to a close. This one is, as always, I love that these go a little bit long, but it gives us, I have a huge list of albums to listen to, as I'm sure all of us do. So let's go around one last time. Tell us who you are and where they can find you. We'll go in reverse order, starting with Ian.
Hello, I'm the one who talks too much. It's Ian from Rhyme Signatures. Hello. Once again, as detailed at the start of the video, if you like heavy metal stuff and scary things with growly vocals, come talk to me because I love that stuff. Come check me out, Rhyme Signatures on YouTube.
Amazing. We'll go to Travis.
Long Words on Song Words at Blogspot. That's where you'll find my writing. I've got some interesting articles coming up that I'm pretty happy to share with you all, and maybe the occasional review now and then.
All right, Nathan.
Yes, my YouTube channel is Nathan on Shuffle. As I've said before, all kinds of great prog content and some cool stuff coming up with some great album reviews and news and more reactions with my wife on new prog, so it should be fun.
Amazing. We got Matt.
Matt O'Leary Music is the channel. I also never mentioned this, but I make music as well. I have a original album a couple of years ago called Dichotomania, just my name.
Yeah, it's very good. I gave it a spin, and I think it was my last album review from 2022 or 2023.
Yes.
It was very good. And I'm not just saying that because you're my buddy. I'm saying that objectively, it was very good.
And I
Matt, there's
agree.
a circle on the cover.
The circle.
Oh no! Now
Right.
I'm going to love it forever.
He did that on purpose, Ian.
Yeah.
Just for me. Oh, thank you.
Just for
Matthew.
you. Oh boy, amazing. And we'll round it off with Brent.
Hey, you can find me at the Similitude of Prague, and I hope the third quarters has been exciting as the second has. I guess we'll
Same.
find out in early October.
Early October. So I've left everybody's links for their channels down below. Go and support and show some love. And until then, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, spending some time with us. Hopefully you all found some new music to check out from this second quarter. And we'll see you all in the third quarter. So until then, Notes and all of us, we are out.
Take care, everybody.